Yesterday, we began an expedition, a trek through the 20-year history of Pittsburgh Today Live.
With Boaz as our guide, we began our journey at the very beginning. A very good place to start, as they say.
Yes, but there was so much to cover that Boaz barely even got to year 10. So he's taking us back through the looking glass with more of how PTL became what it is today.
Welcome to part 2 of our History of Pittsburgh Today Live. In part 1, we talked about the show's launch with Jennifer Ankoviak. Now a decade into PTL's run, Kristine Sorensen was the host, and the show was attracting some big names.
Our most famous guest was by far Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
I mean, to have such a legend right here in the studio was really an honor.
How are you? Kristine, how are you? Good to meet you.
Pleasure and an honor to meet you. How are you? Oh, good. I was hoping you'd give me a hug.
I went up to Mike him, and he grabbed my hand, and he's like, "What's your name?" And I told him, and he asked me a couple questions.
In my heart.
He performed, and it was really fun. And when it was over, he invited the whole crew to his concert that night.
That's why I'll always be around. Yeah, you are the apple of my eye. Oh, yeah.
And then after over a decade on the show, Kristine stepped away, and then Heather came in.
Yes, I know they looked outside for the next host, and Heather was in-house and was the perfect fit for the job.
I'm excited for the opportunity, happy to be here with all of you.
And so when did Pittsburgh Today Live become PTL? Now it feels like everyone calls it PTL.
Well, I think it was sort of a trend nationwide where a lot of shows would start just going by their initials, and so the creative service director said, "I want you to go as PTL." And she came up with our logo, and we had got merchandise, and we started working it into the copy, and it confused a lot of people because, of course, they heard PTL and thought, "Praise the Lord." I even had somebody come to the door one time, and he said, "I'm here for that Praise the Lord show."
Is this real? Is this happening?
In 2019, Heather got a new co-host and a new best friend.
Is this really happening? She said, yes.
And then David came along too, and they were the dream team.
It's finally here.
Heather and David, I mean, they just have such great chemistry together. It's always fun to hear them start the show by talking about things that are going on in their lives or happening in the community.
And Ron is a big part of it too. Yeah. Ron adds. No, he doesn't just do his weather hits.
I was able to text back that I like pineapple, onions, and mushrooms on mine. So he made me my own little personal pizza right there.
He has his little side comments.
Yeah,
and
he adds a lot of
everything,
humor
so.
too.
Yes,
Yeah.
Ron is very.
He's very entertaining.
The town of PTL became a lot more populated. Mikey joined the show. Selena came on board. Then Daisy. And finally, Katie.
It's been 20 years in running. We thank yous all for watching.
And me. Looking back, are there any guests or specific segments that, stand out to you?
You know, I think the thing I remember the most is every day I'd go into the green room and I'd see this collection of people that we had gathered for the show. One time, my favorite time was we had the Harlem Globetrotters. They come, they're in their uniforms, they're spinning the ball around, and that day we also had Smokey Robinson, and they formed this great immediate friendship in there, and then the Globetrotters had him in the studio doing tricks with him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Myself, you gotta smoke.
Everything changed in March of 2020 when a global pandemic entered the scene.
But that's a tricky thing. The hallway is only so wide.
It is only so wide.
We sort of have to go on a diagonal.
And it was a challenge for us because we couldn't have guests in the studio. We had to do a lot of things by Zoom, or we had to get creative.
Well, since we can't have any of our regular chefs at the studio during this time of abundance of coronavirus caution, we are taping and tapping into our own talents here at KDKA.
All these people were now stuck at home, and you probably even had more viewers than before.
And we also wanted to share important news about COVID. A lot of people had a lot of questions.
All right, with so much vaccine news coming at us really every day lately, it can be hard to keep track of it all.
People told us they appreciated it, and our ratings grew even more during that time.
In 2021, PTL's original producer, Jill Neely, retired.
When it was time for me to go, it was hard to walk away after 18 years.
But first, Jill found the perfect replacement.
To see Krista come in as my assistant producer, and I realized how talented she is, and I felt like it was okay, I could go and hand this off to her, and the show would be in good hands. And then Teddy came along, and the two of them just make this show sing.
Do you tune in from home still?
You know what I do? I record it every day. I DVR it. I never miss the opening chat.
This is something I might have to take advantage of once or twice in my life. Have you heard of speech fasting? So it's essentially like not talking, right?
Yeah. It's like fasting with food, only you're deciding not to talk.
I love to see that they're carrying on the legacy and building on it.
So what's the next 20 years of PTL look like? I'm not sure. But as David Highfield would say, let's make it a great next 2 decades, Pittsburgh. See you in 2044.
Hey, you stole my line, kind of, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, that was, I mean, photographer Jeff Root putting that together, really.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was so nice to hear from Jill and all the behind-the-scenes stories.
Well, and to see, the impact that the show has made through the years, from the perspective even from the crew members and hearing it from Boaz. And Ron, I love that you were so much a part of this too, because
I just think the history too, like you don't realize just, the amazing TV. You guys and Kristine and Jen have all just come together. The producers back there.
Yeah.
It's amazing, and he just did a great job of just kind of showing that and showcasing that.
Well,
So,
and I
don't
think
realize it until you
let's
see it.
give a round of applause to our studio crew because
yes.
you don't get to see them very often, and
that is true.
miking all of our guests, working through COVID, all of these things that you don't get to see behind the scenes. But like when we run across the studio and we have to change camera shots really quick, they have to be on their toes. And I mean, honestly, they're
Bringing in
incredible.
and out guests, setting things up.
It's truly a
multiple
team.
hats.
It is truly a team, and and we're so honored to be part of it, really.
And we want to thank Edgar Snyder and Associates for sponsoring our retrospective look backs.
And make sure you tune in tomorrow because we're going to be showing some of our favorite moments from all the times we've taken the show on the road, and sometimes we even take Ron with us. Friday, May 10th at 9 a.m. It's the debut of PTL 20th anniversary celebration. Friday, May 10th.
That's
Got to
right.
get that right.